I think my wife might be a habitual liar. We just bought house. My wife and I just bought our first house, together of 6 years, and I am scared that she might not be an honest person. This has only just come to light. When we started looking for a house, my wife ended up borrowing money from her mom for her part of the down. She was given an inheritance by her late grandparents, so I asked her why she wasn't using that. She told me she had used it all on paying credit card debt. Now, I had known about the debt, but she told me it was not that big and she took care of it. I came to find out she had almost spent it all. Yes, it was her money, as she reminded me, but she had agreed to use it for a down payment one day. My wife has always been one to exaggerate things when telling stories in which I was there and know the events that occurred. It has always bothered me, and I have never understood it as it doesn't make the story any better. I have recently suspected that she lies to me about other things. There will be things like bills left unpaid and now with a late fee that she told me I said I was going to handle, when I have no such memory. I have thought that perhaps I don't have a great memory, but due to recent events I am no longer sure about that. My wife wanted to be able for us to openly talk about our past relationships and experiences when we got together. I know she used to lie to her dad about who she was dating. In an effort to lay my cards on the table then, I disclosed that I had formerly cheated once on an ex. I wanted to give her the opportunity to hear that as to some people it is a deal breaker and I wanted to show that I wouldn't do it again. My wife has proudly told me she has never cheated. Only recently was she telling me about a time when she was young where she fooled around with someone while in a relationship. I was surprised and told her that sounded like cheating. She said she thinks it was, but admitted she was in denial about it, but said it only happens once. This kind of shook me, as I was already thinking that my wife might not be very honest given how I described her acting in our relationship. I wondered if she might be lying to me about other times she cheated on her past. I went through her social media messages and found a lot. She has cheated on a few different partners. She had told me she had been in an open relationship just before me, but really she had lied to me about it and was just cheating on her ex. She even had a whole ex-boyfriend she wanted to marry that she told me was just a casual relationship. Over recent time I have alluded to asking her some about these findings while being vague, figuring maybe she just hadn't been ready to tell me yet. Asking her things as they would come up when she talked them, like, "Oh, didn't you date that person?" But she didn't disclose anything. Even if all this is behind her, it's the present dishonesty that bugs me. The thing is, had she just told me about her past cheating, I would have understood if she felt bad about it, but lying to me for years about it when I disclosed my mistakes feels bad. I feel like this all just points to a bigger issue at hand, that my wife is dishonest, but the only thing I can prove to her is her dishonesty about past cheating, and that she will just call me retroactively jealous or something. I'm worried she might have some sort of a mental illness potentially, and she has talked about feeling suicidal in the past. I am not sure what to do. Do I talk to her about this? Would I even get an honest answer? Plan to separate? What are options with the house we just bought? Comment. Holy guacamole. Is the house title in both of your names? I worry she is going to absolutely ruin your credit, and maybe your life. Can I be real with you here? I think you need a lawyer, an accountant, and a therapist, like ASAP. There could already be other liabilities or issues that you haven't uncovered yet which can cause you many issues down the road. You absolutely need a mental health professional to protect you from being gaslighted, and to have them help get you some sense of how pathological your wife's behavior really is. You should expect her to try to manipulate and abuse you the way she did in past relationships, and find ways to cope with / manage it until you can get out. I'm so sorry you are going through this. Please find these resources and figure out what to do next with their help and support. Do not tell anyone else what you are doing until plans are in place. Play along. Don't antagonize her. Gather more data. Know that everything she says should either be ignored, if seemingly benign, or verified, if actually important. Sign up for Credit Karma to track your credit and check it every week to make sure that everything there is legit and nothing is being done in your name. To stay connected to reality, spend as much time as you can with people who have known you and cared about you since before you two got together. Above all else, know that none of this is your fault. I'd be getting out of this. I was in a similar relationship and I found out that there was a massive amount of debt against the house I wasn't aware of. My ex had run up his cards and lines of credit, and where I am both people are liable. She could ruin you. Because narcissists are very good at roping you in and gaslighting you. You're essentially the frog in the pot, and by the time you realize it, it's usually too late and very painful to exit. I feel bad for OP and hope he gets out now. Sounds like an actual narcissist. She talks like that because that is what she believes. Play it cool and patiently, but plan an exit strategy. Do not confront her. She will lie and gaslight you. You will never have closure with a narcissist. Yet, OP appears to have no bottom line in a relationship. The big three are all that can help him keep his boat in the water. OP, this woman will ruin you emotionally and financially. People who lie are self-serving and selfish. Their moral compass is low. She can and will screw you and screw you some more with no compassion. She has already begun with the "you said you would pay the bill. Check all your repayments." Last couple I saw this stuff. Bills not paid. Lies. He had to divorce her and take a second job to keep the house. Therapy to understand boundaries in relationships. For most people, truth-telling is an important pillar of the relationship. How did you let that slide? A counselor can help you discover why. Then maybe you can move past liars in the future. Story 2. I asked my wife for a divorce and feel guilty. How can I get past the guilt and have the courage to leave? My wife and I have been married for 7 years and have 2 sons, 5 and 6. I have been unhappy for years but stayed because of the kids. About 2 years ago, she started staying out until after midnight with friends. I would come home from a 12-hour shift at work and have the kids all night. She would say it didn't matter because they were sleeping. I eventually found out she had 2 affairs, one of which she would have my sons play with his daughter at a park while I was at work. She was a stay-at-home mom while going to college. She blamed me for the affair, saying I wasn't treating her good enough and wasn't emotionally supportive. I thought we were headed to a divorce, but a week later she did a 180 and wanted to work it out. I gave her another chance with the stipulation of marriage counseling. It wasn't long into counseling that she started having problems with the therapist. She claimed the therapist was biased against her and even went as far as saying the therapist had feelings for me. I found out she was still talking to the guy she had an affair with, and when confronted she said she shouldn't lose a friend out of this. We eventually stopped seeing the therapist and went back to an unhappy marriage. 6 months later I caught her talking to the other guy she had an affair with. Again, she saw nothing wrong with it. Fast forward to a few weeks ago. I have moved up in my career and have gone through 2 big promotions. My income has doubled in that time. We started looking at homes and I thought we had it all. We were looking at homes and it just hit me all at once. I don't love her anymore and have only went through the motions and stayed for the kids. I have never forgiven her for the affairs and the lies. I told her I wanted a divorce and to come to an agreement without lawyers if possible. I am just consumed by fear and guilt. I feel like I'm going to tear our family apart and crush my kids. They don't deserve this. My father passed away when I was 14 years old and I fear losing out on time with my sons. I know staying would be easier and I have way more to lose than her. I lose time with my sons either way and it just tears me apart thinking about it. I feel trapped, but I know I need to leave. To make it worse, she is begging me to stay. She says she needed a wake-up call and to grow up. She said she is going to change for me and the boys. She just wants another chance to prove it. It just makes me feel worse and more guilty for wanting to leave. Comment. This. My parents didn't divorce when I was a kid for me. I heard the arguments through the walls. I knew neither of them were happy, I wasn't happy. I begged my mom to leave my father so many times as a kid. When my own marriage fell apart, I told myself I was not going to put my son through what I went through. That while I couldn't guarantee his mom would be happy after the divorce, I knew I would be. That having at least one happy and healthy parent and household was better than none. It will be hard for your kids for a bit at the bare minimum. Both of you need to take CO parenting classes, even if they aren't mandatory where you live. Love your boys and provide them the most stable environment you can while they are with you. Fight like hell for 50/50 custody at minimum. I promise it will suck for a bit, but it will get better eventually. You deserve a partner who respects and loves you. However, before you try and jump back into the dating game, if you want to, I strongly suggest you take some time intentionally to be by yourself and learn to be happy as just you. Especially since you'll be adjusting to life with just you without her after several years in that relationship. Accept that you are supposed to feel guilt. Even if you know you're doing the right thing, you know that your actions are going to hurt someone you did, and maybe still do, care about deeply. That should always make any good-hearted person feel bad. That feeling is what keeps good people from hurting others without a care in the world. What you need to do is to keep reminding yourself that you are doing what absolutely needs to be done, for your own long-term happiness, for hers, and for the kids. Dragging things out only prolongs the pain, for all involved. Now that you have accepted that the relationship is really over, it's time to end things, as quickly and painlessly as possible, so that you can both begin to heal, to grieve for the loss you feel, and to move on to seek happiness and contentment elsewhere. Stay strong. She will use every trick to get you to stay. Begging/pleading can quickly switch to threatening and scorched earth once she realizes she can't change your mind. She doesn't love you. She knows she can't get the guy she actually wants, and is using you. If the dude decides he wants another go at her, she will most likely be down for it. You will never be able to get the visual out of your mind. Get a good lawyer, and tell everyone what she did so she can't control the narrative. Otherwise she will make you out as the bad guy. Hopefully you kept evidence of the affair. You should not feel any guilt. You are not ending the marriage. Your wife ended the marriage when she chose to betray her vows, you, and your sons, and cheat on you. How can you be expected to stay in a relationship with someone who has wronged you so deeply? Some of the worst advice imaginable is stay together for the kids. The kids would prefer to have a mentally healthy and happy father for 50% of each week than a mentally broken father for 100% of each week. You owe it to your sons to leave the smoldering wreckage that your wife turned your marriage into and become your best self for them. The guilt all belongs to your wife. She selfishly prioritized her sexual appetite over a stable and whole family for her children.